back with the Gator football team headed to Kentucky this weekend and a near miss at the cocktail party. What did you like from the post-Napier Gators? We will talk that and the coaching search with Zach Goodall of Swamp 247. The offense had a little more pop on Saturday, and our X&O expert James DiVirgilio of the Gator Nation Football Podcast will break it down for us five-star style and let us know what he sees as the issues with the up and down play of DJ Lagway. And like we do from time to time, we give the ladies some love, and we are joined by CJ Jordan, assistant coach of the Florida Gators women's basketball team. And the ladies are fresh off a dominant win to start the season with a roster that is more athletic with a lot of international flavor. Kicks of the week is in the building, as well as Hyper Have At It. A little bit on the lighter side tonight. The Sidelines Live team would like to thank our sponsors, Meldon Law and Titan MRI and Imaging. Subscribe to the Lowdown with Loren Meadows on YouTube and Facebook, as well as our partner shows on the Sidelines Live Network, including the Buddy Martin Show, SEC Sidelines, and others. And follow yours truly on Instagram at Ohio Gator for Life and X at Real Ohio Gator. Let's get to it. And with that, we bring in Rob Brown as well as Cynthia Jordan. Welcome, Cynthia Jordan, as well as Rob, to the show. What's going on, people?
Hey.
How's everybody?
Doing great. Doing great.
Doing good. Big win last night. But before we get into that, Coach, I want to say something. And everybody, just the word of the day for everybody in men's basketball is relax. The dudes haven't even gotten their rings from last year. There's a lot of games left. It's November. You don't have to be right to the 1st of March. So everybody relax. I was getting inundated with calls today about the basketball team. Let them figure it out. They will be okay. Walter Clayton is gone. Will Richard is gone. Elijah Martin is gone. But they will be okay. So everybody relax. But who did do a great job last night was the women's basketball team. A very dominant win over North Florida. Liv McGill messed around and almost got a triple-double in the 96-62 win. Career high 13 rebounds for Miara O'Neal. And just a great team performance from the team. What'd you like about that, Coach?
You know, I thought it was fun just to be back in the O-Dome. Thought we had a great crowd, considering the guys were playing on the West Coast roughly at the same time. So just knowing that there's excitement in the community. But most importantly for this team to have an opportunity to play in front of our home crowd.
Yeah, no doubt. And you obviously have the core of the group back with Liv McGill, Miara O'Neal, Layla Reynolds, but a little bit more international feel to the game. Got Kat Piatti out there at center. Alexia Dazeko was able to capitalize off the NCAA ruling with the junior college, giving them an extra year. But just speak to, the ability to get some high-quality international players. You got Mills from Australia, Sarah from Australia, Gift, Ezekiel, Nigeria by way of Japan. I mean, you guys have really done a great job of not only bringing international talent, but athletic international talent. And we can't forget about my girl KG as well, and Davi Menduti, who was on the squad last year. But just a great athletic group this year.
Yeah, we had an opportunity, Lauren, to kind of revamp our team with the graduation last year of so many players, 6 or 7 players. And we just really tried to focus on finding players that fit our style of play that we haven't been able to play, just honestly due to injuries. And we were talking as a staff earlier today about, in the past 3 years, this is the first year that we've come into the season with not having a player coming off of a surgery. We've had minor injuries that, have sat people out for a couple of days here and there. But if you go back and you look at, the teams that we've had a lot of talent. But, like last year, we had two players coming off major surgeries, and they needed this season, the first half of the season, to get into shape, and that's why we were able to come on late last season for a postseason run. And so we're just excited about that, and being able to be together, even though we didn't have the summer as a unit. We've just capitalized on this time in the fall to come together and put something together that we hope that, all Gator Nation can be proud of.
Yeah, and Rob, we've chronicled the job that Kelly Ray Finley has done. Postseason, 3 out of 4 years. Never, I think only one of 2 coaches in school history to do that. And then they got one of your former coaches, an Auburn guy, Coach Fred Williams, joined the staff. I guess he's I don't know if this may be right, defensive coordinator. That's kind of his role there. But just talk about Coach Fred and what he brings to the staff as well, Coach.
Well, Coach Fred, I like to call him OG. He just brings a wealth of experience, having been in women's basketball for so long. Somewhere probably about 40 years. I mean, that's where he's been. He's coached people like Lisa Leslie, and those USC players back in the day. He's won a national championship being on that staff, to, probably over 20 years in the WNBA. And then coming back to college a few years ago, and coming into the conference at Auburn. But he really hangs his hat on the defensive end. And he's brought a different style, Movado, to our defense that I think we'll be able to see that, we put a high premium on defense this year. So we'll be able to do a lot of different things defensively that we couldn't do in the past.
And Rob, this is a group that I know you follow it pretty closely, women's hoops. It's going to be a group that's be fun to watch. I mean, they're up and down, but they also get up in you. On the made basket, they're in your face. They got Kat Piatti, who came over from Italy, daughter of two coaches. Mom and dad are coaches, but really building something there in Gainesville, Rob, under Coach Finley.
Well, Cynthia, you were at South Carolina for like 10 years, director of basketball operations. So you learned from, incredible coach. And so you're down here. I'm just curious with NIL, and that the men, almost all the money goes to the men. And I've got 2 daughters and I got 2 sons. So I instill in them kick ass. I don't give a damn if you're a man or a woman. I want you to dominate and take over and be your best. Never. So it seems like women's basketball. When I grew up, Joe Champy was a longtime coach at Auburn. And Coach Champy used to come over to our studio at Channel 3 in Columbus, Georgia, and do his Sunday afternoon coaches show with Roger Manus and Reese Davis. We all worked together. And God, man, he knew basketball. It was a pure form of the game. And he also, his wife, he was, Italian Catholic from Philadelphia. He used to make us stromboli and spaghetti and manicotti. It was just the most gregarious kind of person. Women's basketball is a pure form of the game. Do the women do they think about all the NIL? To me, if you're getting an education at the University of Florida, there's that I know it sucks maybe that it's different, but I would think you've got a fun job versus the men sometimes who pout when they're not getting what they want.
Loaded question.
Is it like that?
Rob, all I can do is laugh, Rob. And I'm going to get to your question, but I did have an opportunity when I was at South Carolina. We went to Auburn one year, and Coach Champy went over his famous zone defense with us. For I think it was 2 days. I think we stayed overnight, but wow. I know for sure we spent at least one day there. Great teacher. That was a great experience. But to your main question, it's not a loaded question, but what it is one that it depends on where you are right? Like at Florida, and in Florida, the mindset, people aren't up with the times. Women's basketball is no different than men's basketball when it comes to NIL. It's the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at programs that are winning championships, they're spending money
Yeah.
in women's basketball. Make no mistake about it, LSU doesn't win a championship 2 years ago without investing. And so, Florida is a unique school in that it's everything school. So there's a lot of tradition across the board. And, I think there are programs that probably aren't receiving money, that when you look at their track record, they probably should. But our premium and our stock is in football and men's basketball, and rightfully so, because if those sports are doing well, ultimately everybody else can benefit from that. So, I'm not going to sit here and say they don't keep the lights on, but if those sports aren't going well, then we feel it as well. So we are, and that's why our roster is, constructed the way it is, because we simply didn't have the money for like portal kids, and our investment is in that core group and who we brought back. Layla, Liv, Miar, and so international was the best bang for our buck. In terms of getting experience and people that were able to come in and impact versus a high school player. When now a lot of people are going for the transfer portal and older players. So that's just kind of how we balance our roster, and we feel like we have something that we can make a mark with this year, and we'll see where the chips fall from there.
Yeah. Now, and like you said, Coach, great job of bringing the core back. For whatever reason, I think it's a lot more. A lot of people think that, I mean, what you guys are selling is great experiences, great relationships, and I think that core group is important for them to be Florida Gators. But what was most impressive to me is the smile that Liv McGill has on her face this year, a year older, a year wiser. You spend a lot of time with Liv, and I know you talk to her, counsel her, but just her growth as a whole, just that aura that she has this year of somebody who's been there, done that, has success, and now is ready to take on that leadership role of this very talented team.
Well, Loren, I think our staff does a tremendous job in recruiting. And I think, this year people are going to be able to really see who we saw years ago in Liv McGill. She has the pieces around her. And, last year we had our challenges, and losing somebody that we were expecting her to play with, and for her not to carry the load that she had to carry last year. So she got baptized by fire last year. And so, having gone through the fire, you come out and you smile. So it's no different than going through a storm, and when the sun comes out, you smile. So I think we're seeing that now. But I just think it's a testament to the work that we've done and the pieces that we put around her. And just the overall connection that they have. And we just try to maintain that old school approach of the relationships matter, and not the transactional piece, because at some point the money will go. And so if you have strong relationships, you'll find that the value in a relationship is far more than dollars.
No doubt.
We stand on that.
Right. Well, no doubt. And I want you to shed some light, if you can. You got a unique way of getting the team fired up every game. You there's props involved. I even got asked for my headphones one game last year. And so speak to that. And I want to introduce you to my man Zach Goodall from Swamp 247. We were talking on Saturday about the women's basketball team, and He said, I need to get a little bit more interested in women's basketball. And Zach, I want to bring you on because you can appreciate this in a world where we don't get to see much practice, don't get to see much of the players. This is a program that allows us a look into the real. So when you get a moment, go check these ladies out because you could definitely go in and watch practice and get to know them. So CJ, meet Zach, and but I got to know about these props, for sure.
How you
If
doing?
if you can,
Hey,
Doing well, CJ. Nice to meet you.
I'm doing amazing. I'm doing amazing, Zach. Lauren, it it's just grown over time, right? So when I first came and there was an assistant here, Julian Asibe. And so he and I were tasked with, the on-court warm-ups and getting ready for the games. And sometimes he would have something to say, some inspiration, and, I would have some games. But we just kind of played off of each other. And after that year, he left. And so I said, okay, right? Like with anything, at the end of the year, you try to evaluate what you're doing well and where you can go to the next level. And um, that next year, I just started incorporating props. So um, I really, it's kind of bizarre in a way. I can't say that I have planned out like, okay, this game is going to be this or that. I like to um, just, it's a feel thing, right? So yesterday, the message was going to be, I was going to play off of November, right? Like it's the birth of college basketball, and I had something, like new opportunities, victories, um, excellence or something and something, right? And so then go to shoot around yesterday, and we got a fairly new team. We didn't know our offenses. We're going 5-0 to review our offenses of the things that we're gonna run in the game. You would have thought we had a whole new team out there, right? I'm like, wow, okay. We're really nervous. So I come home and I'm scrounging around the house and um, uh, um, I'm scrounging around the house and I'm just like, I'm not sold on the message. I'm not sold on it, right? And so I find this candle
Mm.
in my house and I say, that's it. This is gonna be the message. We're gonna play off of this. Just take a breath and you know, being calm doesn't mean soft. It actually is confidence. So when the chaos comes, just breathe. Just breathe. We put the work in, we prepared and so that was kind of the message for yesterday. And what I would tell you, Lauren, is last year at the SEC tournament, I reached for the stars. So I actually had a live fire. Um,
In
I,
Greenville.
I had a torch,
Okay.
and had our manager light the torch, right?
Okay.
And Serena, we were having this conversation the other day, and she was saying how um, their operations meeting it came up that they have to do a better job of checking bags because we had a live fire on the court. So
Okay.
um, they can get far fetched. It's just really a feel and some of it's um, maybe has something to do with who we're playing. So like last year when we played Florida State, like it's a rivalry game. So the theme was centered off of us being Gators. So I had like a little cooler with all these different ingredients that make up Gators. And so I'm pulling out different things, but then at the end, I pull out an actual, like a little stuffed animal of a
Oh, I
gator.
thought you said live game.
Yeah, no, you know, I don't do pets, so
Okay.
um, but if I had a little more, I might have stretched it. But yeah, I'm not gonna play with a live gator. So
Right.
uh, so yeah, that's just kind of how
Okay.
it out. So
Right. Well, before we let you go, I usually do this more towards the middle, but since you're here and I'm trying to impress you, so we do this thing on the show. It's called Kicks of the Week. So I'm trying to get a StockX or Flight Club or a GOAT, somebody to holler at me, man. I keep doing it every week, little sponsorship, but this week's Kicks of the Week is the all black Jordan threes. So I'm gonna bring them out. You like them,
oh,
Rob?
the
With
black
Yeah.
cat.
with the black cat. So you'll see these courtside one day, CJ. But sometime soon, once the weather get a little colder, I like to do a little bit with that, with some pants or something. But that's what we're doing. So every week, tune in, CJ, and check out the Kicks of the Week. So
Well,
and shout out to Kelly Ray Finley for definitely the best shoe game in women's college basketball for sure. But
yeah,
appreciate you.
no,
What's that?
appreciate y'all having me, and
Absolutely.
you always keep your feet hot. So keep doing what you're doing. But hey, I personally would stay off of StockX and
Okay.
go because who was that? Cool Kicks. They
Uh-huh.
got arrested for
Yeah.
some things that aren't so legal.
Right.
Um, so you might want to lend on maybe some of your contacts to make sure that you get
Right.
that
Well,
thing.
shout out to Serena Lamar. She'll take care of me. But
Mhm.
appreciate you coming on, Coach. Thursday night, 5 o'clock against Chattanooga, followed by the men playing North Florida, doubleheader. And everybody can relax when the men beat North Florida by about 40. So see you guys.
Yeah.
And the women go to 2-0. So
Hey,
we'll be
Lauren,
talking to you. Yes,
just
ma'am.
remind viewers,
What's that now?
just remind them they weren't undefeated last year. And
Yeah.
to be honest, you just got to get to March and win 6 or could be 7 if you're in a play-in game. But
Right.
6 is the number in March, and we're a long ways away from March and April.
No doubt. And the last team to go undefeated was 50 years ago. I was 3. So there you go. All right. Appreciate you, CJ.
Hey, thank
Thanks a
y'all for
lot.
having me, Jack.
You
All
bet.
righty.
Mm.
All righty.
I tell you, she's organized. I mean, got a hell of a resume. I mean, 10 years, director of operations, South Carolina. And I'm curious to always ask the women, it just seems like they love basketball. They're not, I mean, they're going to get paid,
Mhm.
but you do have to, I'd like to know the investment NIL 1 through 16 in the SEC for women's basketball.
We'll talk offline one day.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
talk offline. For
Yeah.
sure. I'll call you one day because
Yeah.
I happen to know. So
Okay. That'd be
and
interesting.
it is broad
Yeah.
for
I
sure.
bet.
It is broad. So what's up, Zach?
How we doing, man?
Man,
How we
great to
doing?
see you, bro. Saw you on Saturday. I thought it was gonna happen for a minute, and then things just kind of slipped away. But and we'll have James on to kind of break down the X and O's. But what do you think on Saturday, the cocktail party? I always said that Florida would lose to Georgia in a classic, but I really thought it'd be like maybe a 5-2 playing a 6-1 team. Not the case, but I did think the game would be close at the beginning of the season. I wouldn't necessarily call it a classic, but it was close. And the first taste of the post Napier Florida Gators. So what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it looked more like a 6-1 going against not a team with a losing record kind of game when you consider when you weigh them against each other. Florida, I mean, not to pat myself on the back too hard, but like that was, I think we talked about it before the game. Like that was basically exactly how I envisioned it going. I thought it might be a little higher scoring. I think my prediction was 31-27, but I had written that I thought Florida would hold a lead late into the game. They did. It was into the fourth quarter that they, after the Trey Smack field goal, had a lead. They covered. The offense played faster. I know the 20 points isn't something to hang your hat on, especially when that's been like the running average for Florida in this game as of late. But you saw like a little bit of a boost offensively. The big plays, the aggressiveness on first down was something that stood out to me. And I know we've talked a lot about like being more aggressive on third down, but I thought there were plenty of instances where they tried intermediate to deeper routes on first when traditionally we'd think it'd be a screen, a Jaden Baugh run, what have you. Instead, they're throwing 20-plus yard post routes to Eugene Wilson on first down. There was some aggressiveness. There was less time between snaps. It looked a little different. There wasn't some schematic overhaul, but they certainly tweaked things. And I think that it, at a minimum, especially when you consider the opponent, like there's 4 games left. There's a new coaching staff coming. I don't know what you're necessarily building toward, but if you're trying to build toward ending the year on a strong note, you have a foundation to work with now that I do believe is a bit different than it was the past. I mean, we would say 7 games, but realistically 42 games, realistically. I thought it was well fought. I thought there was a lot that they can build off of in that regard. And it's disappointing, I'm sure, for Florida, as they expressed, to go out on that note the way it ended. And there were still some head-scratching moments. But, like, if Billy Napier were coaching that game, I don't think it would have been 24-20, I guess is the easiest way to put it.
Yeah. And, it's funny. A friend of mine hit me up, and he was talking about Billy Gonzalez as a head coach. And I said, you know what? I said, who cares? Billy Gonzalez should be commended, Rob, for holding this team together, getting them to play hard, not to lay down. Those are the things that you should be, analyzing him as a head coach. I mean, no offense to Billy Gonzalez, who is probably the best receiver coach I've ever been around, but it's a placeholder. But he did a great job as that placeholder, Rob, and had this football team ready to go beat a top 10 football team, and not for a couple plays that really one of his best players did or didn't make, depending on how you look at it. They were in that ball game.
Yeah. Well, whoever comes in as the next Florida coach is going to have a roster 8th, 9th best in the country, and you can win immediately. And that's the way with portal transactions and NIL. You can say that at a lot of places, but you damn sure can at Florida. And I'm with Zach. It wasn't any transformative overhaul from everything they'd ever done. They scorched earth. But I watched that Florida-Georgia game. Florida looked like they were having fun. I love those blue jerseys, but also like when Florida wears the orange jerseys with the white pants.
Oh, that's a clean look.
I think that's a badass uniform.
That's my wife's favorite. She wanted to choke Billy Napier that they never wore orange against Kentucky. She was like, "Where is the orange?" And my wife like, "Give me the orange, Billy. Give me the orange." And she likes the all orange.
I do too.
And the orange and white, but the orange and white is clean for sure.
I mean, it's really cool. But I will say, Florida just they looked like they were having more fun. And I think Zach hinted at it. Billy Napier is a nice guy. We know all that. I thought Florida would win 10 games this year. I looked at that roster. But Billy Gonzalez looked like they were having fun. And I talk like y'all do to a lot of coaches. And Zach, I had a guy that he's working with a team right now, and the head coach brought him in 3 weeks ago, and he said, "What do you see with my team?" And he said, "Well, I see you're making progress here, here, and here. You're behind here and there." He said, "But what I really see is a roster full of kids that have lost their love of football." And we got to be very careful with that, because guys who lose their love of football and are just staring at their mobile app on their phone to look at their money from NIL, they're shitty teammates. They're not good. And I think if I'm the new Florida coach, I'd get me a director like chief of staff that just frees me up to coach. You go handle NIL, you go handle the portal, the pout faces, and all the guys throwing temper tantrums. Let me coach ball. And I still think Florida next year could be a powerful force. I mean, look at the numbers. Since 1990, Florida's 22-14 against Georgia.
Yeah.
I mean, God dang, it's not like, Florida is from 89 to 09 was the winningest program in college football.
Yeah.
We forget that. I'm telling you that as an outsider watching Florida. I don't think anyone's been to the SEC championship game other than Alabama as more than Florida. Nobody has.
Yeah. And Zach, there's depth there too. I mean, you started to see, some guys, started to play. I mean, they had a walk on, had 16 tackles against, or 13 or something like Mississippi State. And I mean, you just see the defense really bowed up when they were supposed to. I mean, they got gashed late, which that happens. I mean, usually in games like that, you're going to give up one or two. I think they would like that one to branch back late in the half, but that happens against good football teams. I tell people all the time, don't get upset. The other team practices too. Sometimes they get you. And, we're going to talk to James a little bit, but, here in a minute, he's going to break down Lagway. But when you got two fairly evenly matched team, the team that makes the most plays is going to win the game. And ultimately, that's what it came down to, was Florida just didn't – it's hard to really criticize. They just did not make the plays they needed to make, Zach.
Yeah, I thought it came down to a tale of two halves, which is, they got a lot of criticism, rightfully so, in the Billy Napier era for starting slow. This time around, they started fast, I think offensive and defensively, and it wasn't perfect, but they came out and they scored quickly. Again, I think they moved with better rhythm than they had in the past. To me, in the second half, they did kind of regress into the Billy Napier offense, especially compared to what we saw in the first. And I do want to hedge that with my expectations weren't anything super grand. It's impossible. It's unfair to have expected that with one bye week as you prepare for one of the, if not the toughest game of your season, to completely overhaul your scheme, entirely overhaul your offense. It was never going to happen. To that point, though, it's still discouraging to see them lean back on old tendencies. I love the idea of going for it on the 4th and 1 and the 4th and 4. I think you could have done a lot better than – I mean, there was a play, I want to say either earlier that drive on the 4th and 4 or maybe a drive before, where it was the exact same concept. It was they target Eugene Wilson in the flats. First time they had Tony Livingston run a corner, and it worked. Eugene was wide open. Now the throw was a bit delayed. It was coming from the left hash. So Lagway couldn't get it to him with enough room to create yards after the catch. It ended up being a 7-yard game, but it was a productive first down play. They run that exact same thing on 4th and 4 to the opposite side, other than this time the alignment was switched. Eugene was in the slot. TJ Abrams was outside running a corner. Wilson, a flat route. Georgia knew. Same kind of thing we've talked about Billy Napier. It was predictable. They knew it was coming. Right. That time, the pass was nearly jumped for a pick six, which one way or another, it was pretty much ending the game. But a pick six obviously would have sealed it right then and there, in my opinion. And that was the struggle. Again, that's not something that's going to be changed in 1 week. It's going to take really an offseason and a new coach to remove tendencies. But that's where Georgia wins. They pick up on tendencies. That's why they've been so strong in second halves and fourth quarters, is they remember things that bit them and they're able to correct it right then and there. Florida thought they had something because it worked earlier. It wasn't going to work a second time.
Is there any, and maybe we look at it back and I know this is, I wrote an article about shoulda, coulda, wouldas and what ifs. And I'll throw this what if out there. What if VB3 and Dallas Wilson were there for the whole game? Is this game different, or like you pointed out, was it schematically just some, for instance, for me, based on the rules that I know, that last pressure, I thought that the number 2 receiver should have broke in on the slant route, even though it was a delayed hot, what we call a hot, that was delayed, but it wasn't delayed enough where he couldn't have readjusted and snapped inside. Lagway hits him, first down, we move on. But, they went with a different concept, and I think they got goosed, like you said. But no VB3, no Dallas Wilson for really the key parts of the game. Did that make a difference, or it just, like I said, just didn't make the plays, the calls, You had the fourth down. You went back to the, like James is going to talk about. He talked about it on his video. The old 22 personnel, the old 12 personnel, excuse me, Napier, bunch it all in there, and let's run downhill out of the shotgun instead of at least putting him in the pistol so you can get a look downhill, or were those guys visibly missing in your opinion?
I mean, I think there's a give and a take. That TJ Abrams drop, does Vernell drop that? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
How monumental is that in the final result? I don't think a ton. If Dallas Wilson is targeted on the play where, and I think James did a breakdown. I saw it going around on Twitter, and I appreciated his points about DJ's shoulder. Like I know we've talked about this. To me, that still is a thing. I don't care what anyone says, other than people who agree with me. Right. Does Dallas Wilson make that catch? Whether or not you believe J. Michael Sturdivant, like what does that change if it's Dallas Wilson being targeted?
Not on that one, I don't think. Not on that.
No.
Yeah.
No, and like but I don't know. Regardless, like if he's the target on plays where Sturdivant may have been or TJ Abrams may have been, what that changes necessarily for the exact same reasons we're talking before. In the second half, like things did start becoming a bit predictable. They did regress into some of their old tactics, so to speak. And again, Georgia's not the team that will fall for something. There were the post routes with Eugene in the first half. They got them on back-to-back, but largely Georgia won't fall for something twice.
Right.
And so that's where they kind of shot themselves in the foot. It is, I don't know what changes if they have a couple of very good players who are game changers there in the final result when that's what you're dealing with.
Right. No doubt. I really, I mean, I think it was just not enough plays. And, speaking of people that always make the right play, the people at Meldon Law, always doing big things, got a big event coming up. I can't remember what game it is, but I think I don't know if it's Monmouth or somebody around November, middle of November, going to actually give out 10,000 championship rings, Rob, to the good folks that show up for that game. Meldon Law continues to support the Gainesville community and basically support anybody who needs help. They mainly an injury law firm, but also can help you with any of your law needs. If they can't help you, they'll point you in the right direction of someone that can. Continue to help UF, support UF athletics, UF students, and the Gainesville community. Proven and skilled lawyers since 1971. Meldon Law, we won't back down. And with that, we bring in James DiVirgilio of the Gator Nation Football Podcast. How you doing, James?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Yeah, all right, man. A great breakdown. You kept it short and sweet this week. I don't know if you got frustrated and just got fed up. And you had a little bit more frustration in your voice, I think, watching some of the quarterback play. And, you look at a couple, and I think you broke down two key, really three, I think three key moments where, I think you were a little bit more pleased with the play call, but then the execution at the head of the snake, just wasn't there. So speak to that. Definitely go and check James' breakdown on the Gator Nation Football Podcast on YouTube and Patreon. But just talk about that, James, and your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, the first of all, the YouTube video, you're right, it's like maybe 23 minutes, 20 minutes, but the Patreon breakdown's like an hour and 20, actually. Mm-hmm. So I did a full in-depth. I'm like, what am I still doing evaluating all these things? But there was a lot to look at because we said maybe 10 or 15% on the podcast was actually different, but enough was different, especially when it came to how they approached calling plays and how they were kind of going back and forth with Kirby and their staff on when to call plays that made a difference. And the three-pack of plays you're talking about, of course, the 4th down and 1 call, which I did not like. I think that was their worst call of the game. I think they tightened up, and I kind of said you can kind of see the Billy Napier-ness coming in here as we get to 4th down, and we're gonna hand it the ball, but we're also gonna get really tight and go, kind of everything in a phone booth. But I thought their 3rd and 4th down calls on the last drive were really, really good. In fact, we had 2 wide open receivers on 3rd down, both J-Mike as well as Trey. And on fourth down, you had a high-low read where we get Georgia in. That was really fun, actually, because Georgia thinks they have us in something, nickel pressure we didn't see with the sim pressure look. And then we have a high-low that's there. And that's where you got to have DJ make that throw. I had a good question on YouTube about that final throw saying, yeah, but James, Abrams hasn't even turned around yet. Like, he's not ready for the ball. That's not a problem. You're going to throw to grass right there. You're going to put some that ball. He's going to turn his head when he hits that corner. He's going to see a nice touch pass. There is no one within 5-10 yards of that route. And your quarterback's got to know that too. He's got to know that. He's got to see that and put that there as soon as that corner stays low. And that's not an easy throw with pressure coming into your face, but that's one you have to make. That's a game-winning or game-losing throw. And so in back-to-back plays there, I thought the staff did a really nice job getting Florida into looks that could have gotten chunk plays, gotten us into the red zone on one of them, a touchdown on the first one, right? But then also converting on 4th and 4, something we hadn't seen Billy do a great job of in tight moments versus premier opponents. The staff, I thought, did a good job there.
Yeah. And I kind of thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, you had the nickel blitzer, but you also had what I call room to kind of flutter. And, you talked about, you're playing quarterback, it's coming. You just got to stand there, eat the meat and pause, but, eat and hang in there. But I also thought he could have faded a little bit more to his right and would have gave him an opportunity to set his feet, take the blow, and like you said, still throw the grass and maybe hit Abrams on that as well. I was thinking that, just keep kind of moving, get away from it, then set your feet and make that throw,
Yeah. I think part of the problem is, and it's really, I'd love to have somebody from the coaching staff here with us so we could talk about that exact question. Florida's really struggled to set their protection well versus any kind of sim pressure look, which is a little surprising given that Ron Roberts is, of course, really the father of sim pressures. You would think if anybody would be good at it.
See a ton of it. Yeah.
They're going to see it every day in practice, every year, off season, in season. So it's a little weird that we still have like maybe a 50 or 60% complete whiff rate on accounting for a sim pressure look when teams just bring 4. They did bring 5 here, but they really had an add-on guy late. So it's really a 4-man initial pressure. Nickel guy comes home free. They time it well. And judging by the look, it doesn't seem like Florida was expecting any pressure from that side. So to DJ's mindset, if he's thinking I'm going to set protection to my right, then he's not going to be thinking he's going to have somebody coming in that lane. That might catch him by surprise. But even then, obviously in that case, hang on to the ball for half a beat longer, and you've got the throw that you need. Like you said, you have to take a hit there. And I think a lot of people that either haven't played or maybe just aren't sure, you're going to take a hit. And the best quarterbacks are going to take that release right when they're about to get hit, knowing they can make the throw, and they also have the timing right, just to make sure they know that dropping corner is staying home. And he's a sophomore. He's inexperienced, right? But that would have been a really big play, and I'm sure one that DJ wishes he had made.
And Rob, you talk quite a bit to Jason Campbell on your show, does the radio for Auburn, very astute quarterback, played several years in the NFL. And I don't care if you don't throw a pass in the NFL, even though Campbell did, but I'm just saying, I won't start people like Jason Campbell. He played in the NFL. Leave it alone.
Years.
Just like Shane Matthews, 14 years
in
the NFL. Stop second guessing these 0.1% of everybody that ever played quarterback.
Yeah.
But anyway, Rob, Jason Campbell, I'm sure has talked about the struggles of quarterback there at Jackson Arnold there and things like that. But just as these quarterbacks continue to mature and DJ Lagway continues to progress, can someone come in and fix this? Or is it, maybe Jason knows, is it missing the spring, missing most of the summer? Because to me, those are some innate things that should be there if you're a 5-star type quarterback, and they've just been missing, Rob. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what Jason has to say.
Well, Jason, I do like to talk to Jason, and he tailgates at one of the tailgates I go to at every game. He does the pregame show, and I always talk to him and Ronnie Brown and, whoever's there, and everybody's there. Jason would talk about development. DJ Lagway's got all the talent that you could ever ask for, and Zach knows it, and James knows it, it. But he was hurt. And Pete Cordelli said on my show with Ellis Johnson on Monday morning about a month ago, he said he got hurt during the summer in the weight room. Pete coached quarterbacks for Lou Holtz for 14 years. He knows that position well. He's written a great book about it. But yeah, you get the right person in there, it's amazing what can happen. And James and Zach and y'all know way more about the Gator program. By the way, I got to give a shout out to Chris Hember, senior care up in Memphis. He takes care of my mom, huge Gator fan. He's watching this show right now. Hello, Chris.
Shout out, Chris.
They're Gators
Appreciate you
everywhere.
watching. Thank you. Yeah,
I'm telling
absolutely.
you, in Memphis and I'm in the Mid-South, I see Florida people. I guess they work for FedEx or something, but Gator Nation's big. But yeah, I think the right person comes in and works with DJ Lagway, he's going to be more relaxed. When you're uptight, you don't play well. When you're walking around feeling nauseated, you don't perform well in life, certainly not on a test in school. So, yeah, just get the right fit. And you can't just bring anybody into Florida. You got to have a swagger, a cockiness, an attitude. It goes with it's Florida. This is not Iowa or Nebraska. You know, it's a special place. It's one of the big 6 programs in the SEC in the last 60 years because only 6 schools have won the SEC. Florida's won it 7 or 8 times and 3 national championships. So they're going to get a great guy. It may not be Kiffin. I mean, who knows? It might be Rhett Lashley. And I don't think he signed his deal at SMU yet. He was offered it, but he hadn't signed it. But you just get the right guy. Florida, I will be shocked if they're not winning big immediately. It's just way too many resources not to be good.
Well, let's talk about it. I mean, I think that's a great, and James, just real briefly, you talked about it. Do you think it was, and I want to ask you, when we talk about the big throw, that was it a catch? Wasn't it a catch? I think you and I agree, shouldn't have even come to that because it should have been a walk-in touchdown and you should have seen it sooner. But then the feet weren't set, it was off rhythm. But does he have that 65-yard throw in him? You mentioned 52, 65-yard throw in him. Or Zach, James, is he hurt? I mean, is the show? Because I keep hearing the shoulder's fine. So was it the feet? Was it the shoulder? Just not making the play in the big moment, James?
Yeah, I would love to know if Zach knows if he's hurt. I would love to know if anyone knows if he's hurt. In the offseason, there were all the rumors of second opinion on the shoulder surgery. She's going to have it after this season. I don't know, but all I know is you don't have to set your feet on that throw. But anyone who's thrown at any object at all, baseball, football, I don't care if you're throwing your football more like a baseball, right? People talk about that with Lagway. If you are running towards the line of scrimmage, which DJ was, and last year on film, there's plenty of occasions where he's easily flicking the ball 60, 65 yards, and he is turning his shoulders. He rips all the way through. Yes, his feet leave the ground. Doesn't matter. The momentum of you running towards the line of scrimmage is going to carry that ball as if you got it off pretty well. He throws a tight spiral, and for it only to go 52 yards in that situation is, you don't want to overanalyze one throw, but it is interesting to me because he saw that throw, he rolls out, he knows he's got window, he basically gets momentum going. I think he gives it everything he's got, doesn't get there. And that's, to me, with the injuries he had or didn't have in the offseason, I find that curious that he's a big-armed, strong-arm guy. You don't see very many guys who have that kind of arm not easily flick that ball to that spot. That's just an unusual result for a guy who last year had a huge arm, and now you're like, that's a little curious. Didn't come out wobbly, didn't come out weird, came off the hand clean. I just have a hard time figuring out how that's so short. Could be a bad throw, yes, but we've seen a lot of throws this year that don't look anything like last year's throws. And I know they've changed his throwing motion. I know they've done that. So why would you do that? Yeah, I think there's a lot of parts of this puzzle I'd love to have more answers to. But as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't seem like he's got the same velocity on his throws this year as he did last year.
Zach, what was the kind of, I'm sure, no cheering in the press box, but I'm sure there were observations from that group, the group of, the Edgars, the Mark Longs, and others that, Zach Alberverdes and Graham Halls and yourself. What was kind of the consensus on that play?
The consensus, everyone was trying to talk about whether or not Sturdivant caught it. I don't think people were paying too much attention in the moment to DJ, but that's where my head was at. And yeah, it's been there all. It's been there all year. To James's point, there's so many instances last year where he is able to make those kinds of throws, or at least throws of that distance and certainly greater. We've seen, I think back to, we talked about it, that crosser, that dreadfully missed crosser against Long Island was my first moment of, okay, like they can tell us all they want, his shoulder's fine. And you know what? Maybe for a quarterback who needed surgery and didn't get it on his shoulder, yeah, it's fine. To me, it's clearly not. I mean, whether it's that one, even what was it? I think there was a crosser to Eugene in the third quarter, I want to say, against Georgia, and the placement's just off. And you know, we may not see as bad of misses in some of those throws, but I think we can look through a lot of his tape this year, even some of the shorter to intermediate stuff, where the placement's not there. And I know that he needed to work on intermediate placement this offseason, but like it looks arguably worse to me. And all signs point to, I mean, there's been reporting on it, right? That's what Mark Long was reporting back in February, March, April. Yeah, he needed surgery. Yeah, it's likely he's going to need to get it after this season, but it was ultimately opted against. To me, this is exactly what that looks like. And I think that there's plenty of examples this game, back to Long Island, everywhere in between. I mean, I think that deep interception against LSU where he was targeting Trey in the end zone, I think we had all talked about that play, even when we were last on here, if I recall correctly. Like, I didn't hate that target. I didn't love the concept outside of Eugene, but I didn't hate it. DJ paired with the concept outside where it didn't get the safety necessarily to pull it, but still, like, you would think Lagway would have been able to at least sell that, you know, through the back of the end zone rather than committing an underthrow. And it seems as though his feel, his touch, it's not there. And I don't really know how else you can explain that. I don't know how you could explain trying to change his throwing motion. Ultimately, it seems just as bad, if not worse, then something bigger is wrong. Something deeper is at play here.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's and it obviously has had a impact on this season for sure. So obviously, you know, Florida's still in the coaching search. Somebody asked me today, why haven't there been any coaching moves made? I'm like, hey, it's still really early in this thing. There's a lot more people gonna be, as Franz Beer puts it, gainfully unemployed here soon. But just real quick, got about 2 or 3 minutes. You know, James, we'll give it to you. Your thoughts on the next head coach of Florida?
Well, I mean, we've had Lane Kiffin as like a 1A candidate for 2 cycles now. 2 cycles ago, he was unhireable, not proven enough yet. Question marks about the off the field stuff. And then last cycle, he was right there. It was like, but we knew that Florida was not going to hire him. So we said, hey, we are 1A. We don't think so. So I think what's interesting with him is, we do something called a 3-year test on the podcast that talks about, coaches to meet certain marks in 3 years at a championship program or even a non-championship caliber one. There's metrics you can look at to see if they're ever going to be able to win one where you are. And Lane has passed that at Ole Miss. I also think that he really has a great handle on the modern game. He seems maybe even the least stressed by what's happening in the NIL, kind of what I call like the permanent free agency college football world. He's taken Ole Miss to higher heights than they've been at before. They're consistently good. He knows how to manage a 1-year roster. And also, I think the most important thing for Florida fans, he's a huge brand fit for us. He's relevant culturally. I think if you imagine Lane coming to Florida, the program all of a sudden is absolutely massively buzzworthy. You're talking about just constant focus and attention on it. And most importantly, he's an excellent and gifted X's and O's offensive coach. I think if you look at Florida, it's no surprise, Spurrier and Urban, both of those guys, offensive guys, right? That's what they were. And that's what Florida's done the best. So I think at this point in time, Lane be a great option. I mean, there's a lot of rumors about what's happening with him. Of course, he has not signed an extension to my knowledge, unless this happened here in the last hour at Ole Miss, which means I think he's interested in something. I think it'd be a good fit. There's a lot of reasons that I'm sure a lot of you are aware of this could fit. So I think that's got to be your 1A candidate. You can start going off from there and creating tiers about who you like or don't like. But for me, I think that's the obvious fit. I think that that's who Florida should be pursuing. From all accounts, I understand that is who they're pursuing as their number one target. And I think that's wise. And I think that'd be a great fit. And we may not win something. It's never guaranteed. But I think there's a lot of reasons to believe that his trend is way up. And if you give him a top 15 roster instead of the 20th best roster, it might be that much better. Rob,
you live around the corner. What's the thought?
Well, I mean, look, I used to work where Jimmy Sexton was on the 5th floor and I was on the 6th floor for 9 years reasons Morgan Key, and I talked to Kyle Rote Jr. a lot more than him. I think Ole Miss, I know this they got 2 donations in the last week for the Loyalty Foundation. One guy gave them a $20 million check. Another one gave them 10. Yancey Porter reported that Rebel Yell hotline on our show this morning, and he told me that. I think Lane Kiffin is I talked to an agent who used to work with Jimmy Sexton. It's always about the money. Don't kid yourself. It always is. And James, I've got Zach's contact information. I need to get your contact information and bring you on our show if you'll do it. Love to get you on. I tell you, Florida's got a massive media contingent. It's amazing. I mean, look at these two and Loren and this channel. So I don't think that thing's over until it is over, because Lane Kiffin's doing a great job of disguising it. And Pete calls Sexton Memphis Fats. And Jimmy's, he's got some big fat contracts. But he had 11 of the top 14. He had 11 of the 14 coaches in the SEC 3 years ago.
Yeah.
In the term collusion come to mind?
Yeah, it's wild. Zach, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, from everything that I hear, anyone I talk to is, as James said, Kiffin is 1A. He's the primary. He's the guy they're coveting. And to Rob's point, yeah, he does. And I think you got to give Jimmy some credit there too. They know how to leverage this, right? They know Lane Kiffin is the guy for Florida, probably for LSU, unless they've totally messed that up on their own with the way that this situation's gone down. But to give them credit, they seem like they've ironed some stuff out internally over the past couple of days. Regardless, he's the guy that if you've got a huge opening in college football, you want him. How are they going to leverage that? And my biggest question at this point is, because I can't get clarity on it. Like, it's been, and it only validates the thinking that Kiffin's the guy. What's Florida's fallback option? Where are they going to go if Lane ultimately doesn't come here? Whether that's sticking with Ole Miss, going to LSU, surprising everyone, and going somewhere else. I've heard a lot of these. A lot of outlets have said a lot of different names, and I've not really been given from the people I talk to any sort of validation that, I don't know, Jeff Brom is some serious candidate. That's not something that's been expressed to me, and I've checked in since that kind of stuff's come out. Again, like, it should give people confidence that Florida is taking Lane seriously this time. You just have got to hope that they've got some sort of fallback option in place in case they get played here.
Right. Well, I was told before Saturday's game by a money guy that they feel like they're in good shape for Lane. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. And he stuck his hand out and said, "You want to bet?" Now, obviously, I would never bet a bull gator because I can't carry that. I can't carry that check, and my money funny and my credit won't get it when it comes to a bull gator. But that's where it was. But anyway, tell the people where they can find you, Zach, and let them know what you're working on.
All over at Swamp247, Zach_Goodall on Twitter. I'm just trying to get this coaching search over, man. We've got another month of this to pair with football.
Oh, it's longer than that.
Probably much longer than that, but at a minimum, a month longer of this. And just one day at a time.
Yeah. James?
Yeah, you can check my stuff out at the Gator Nation Football Podcast. Just Google that. It'll be there. YouTube channel, podcast itself. We're on X. We're on, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call that nowadays.
Twitter.
Yeah, we're there. We're out there. We're available.
No doubt. And Rob, who you got on tomorrow?
We got Chris Lee, Southeastern 16, Jacques Doucet, Channel 9 in Baton Rouge, speaks Cajun French. Cool. Dudley Dawson, Inside Arkansas. Jake Wimberly down in Mississippi, The Drive, 105.9. He's a big numbers guy, kind of like Dave Bartu.
All right.
Cover a lot, man. And the coaching search, I'm with these guys, man. Just come on, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Quit playing, get a pay raise.
Right. Well, let's quickly talk about Titan MRI and Imaging. Titan MRI Imaging offers the same great customer service. They now accept insurance or through their convenient self-pay options. Titan MRI and Imaging offers MRIs, CT scans, X-rays, and ultrasounds. No ERs, no hospitals. Titan MRI, it's your choice. Appreciate you all joining me. My guest, Cynthia Jordan, Rob Brown of SEC Sidelines, James DiVirgilio of the Gator Nation Football Podcast, and Zach Goodall, Swamp 247. Appreciate you joining me. Went a little long tonight, but real good stuff. And next week, we'll see you recording live from somewhere. Have a good evening.